RCS Audiobooks presents Dignity and Respect, a Black Man's Guide to Understanding Himself by Ryan C. Sanders, aka Sensei Sanders. Preface, dedication, acknowledgments about the author. Part 1, The Mirror, Seeing Yourself with New Eyes. Chapter 1, The Weight of Being a Black Man. How history, stereotypes, survival mode, and silence shaped your identity. Chapter 2, The Psychology of Trauma and Manhood. Why we react the way we do. What we inherited and how to break the cycles. Chapter 3, Dignity, the Internal Kingdom. Understanding dignity as emotional wealth, spiritual structure, and masculine foundation. Chapter 4, Respect, the Currency of Manhood, reclaiming self-respect, rebuilding confidence, and resetting your internal standard. Part 2, The Healing, rewiring the mind, regulating the heart. Chapter 5, Understanding your triggers, how trauma shows up in relationships, anger, silence, and self-sabotage. Chapter 6, Emotional Intelligence for Black Men, naming feelings, regulating reactions, and strengthening emotional control. Chapter 7, Heal Before You Build, facing the father wound, mother wound, masculinity wound, and society wound. Chapter 8, Spiritual Grounding and Inner Alignment, developing intuition, purpose, divine order, and ancestral connection. Part 3, The Men, communication, brotherhood, and masculine maturity. Number 9, communication mastery for modern Black men, speaking with clarity, listening with presence, leading with emotional intelligence. Chapter 10 will get into brotherhood and the return of community, why men need tribe, the elder peer, younger triad, and how to build real brotherhood. Chapter 11 will get into redefining success, alignment over image, from clout chasing to purpose living, replacing performance with identity. Part 5, The Discipline, Structure, Strength, and the New Masculine Order. That'll be going into chapter 12, where we'll talk about honor, the Black woman as partner, not opponent, healing the male-female divide, creating emotional safety, and restoring balance. Chapter 13, Discipline is Your Freedom, building daily structure, mental toughness, boundaries, and consistency. Chapter 14, Spiritual Grounding and Sexual Energy, mastering your urges, reclaiming your focus, and aligning your life's force energy. Part 5, The Legacy, becoming the man your bloodline needed. Chapter 15 will get into legacy over likes, choosing impact over image, fatherhood principles, and generational healing. Chapter 16, Becoming the Foundation, how to lead your household, stabilize your community, and embody kingship. Chapter 17, The Call to Kingship, the final initiation, identity, responsibility, spiritual authority, and destiny. And we'll go into closing words. The preface. I grew up learning manhood by feel, not instruction. No blueprint, no father standing between me and the world, just a mother doing the job of two people while carrying the weight of four. When a boy grows up without a father, he becomes his own teacher too early. He learns strength without guidance. He learns survival without clarity. He learns independence without intimacy. He learns to love from a place missing pieces. Those missing pieces follow you into adulthood. They follow you into relationships. They follow you into parenthood, especially when you're trying to father a child while still learning how to father yourself. I wasn't the man my daughter needed in early years, not because I didn't love her, but because love isn't enough when you don't know how to show up. Distance, mistakes, inconsistency, pride, all symptoms of unhealed boy trying to wear a man's crown. but grace builds bridges where guilt builds walls. And with time, truth, accountability, and healing, my daughter and I rebuilt what almost broke. Today, our connection is not just restored, it's stronger, deeper, and more honest than anything I could have ever created without growth. This book is not written from perfection, it's written from evolution. It is the manual I wish I had as a young man, and the guide I now offer to every brother who wants to rise, repair, and reclaim himself. Dedication. To my daughter, whose love waited for the man I was still becoming. You gave me room to grow, grace to return, and the space to rebuild myself without closing the door on my future. You're proof that healing is real, forgiveness is powerful, and love is patient enough to witness a man transform. And to every black man who grew up fatherless, wounded, guessing at his own identity, this is for you. May you find in these pages the courage to repair what you lost, reclaim what you deserve, and rise into the father, partner, and leader you were always meant to be. Acknowledgements. To my mother, the original warrior in my story. You held the line. You played both roles. You raised a fighter, a thinker, a creator, and a man who refuses to quit. Your strength was my first classroom. Your love was my first protection. To my wife, thank you for teaching me through your growth what it means to be a man. Thank you for seeing the man inside the mistakes. Thank you for choosing connection over resentment. You gave me the greatest honor a man can receive, the chance to show up better. To the brothers, the ones doing the work, the ones breaking the cycles, the ones learning emotional discipline, the ones rebuilding families, the ones fathering kids they didn't create, the ones healing wounds they didn't ask for. You are the quiet revolution in our community. To every sister, thank you for your patience, your boundaries, your insight, and the way you continue to love a people who don't always know how to love themselves. Your resilience is the center of our survival. And to God, aka Universal Consciousness Catalyst, whose grace within me fill every gap, whose wisdom insists and shapes every lesson, and whose timing turns every loss into a step toward purpose. About the author. Ryan C. Sanders is a man who grew up in the same confusion many black men carry but rarely speak about. Trying to become a man in a world that gives you responsibility without instruction, pressure without guidance, and expectation without support. Raised without a father, Ryan learned manhood in real time, watching the streets, listening to his mother's resilience, interpreting survival as strength, and shaping himself through instinct instead of mentorship. When you grow up without a blueprint, you spend years trying to draw one from scratch. And Ryan lived that reality. His journey became even more complex when he became a father himself. Distant circumstances and unhealed wounds created gaps between him and his daughter that he didn't even yet have the emotional tools to repair. But becoming a single father didn't break him, it woke him up. That season forced him to confront the truth many men avoid. You can't lead a household if you haven't first learned how to lead yourself. Through therapy, accountability, spiritual grounding, and deep inner work, Ryan rebuilt the bridge with his daughter, not through guilt, but through growth. Today, their relationship is one of strength, trust, and truth. Their bond is proof that men can change, heal, return, and become the fathers they once wished they had. Navigating a world that often feels stacked against black men, Ryan discovered the principle that changed his life. When I changed the way I looked at things, the things I looked at changed. This mindset became the backbone of his philosophy, his healing, and ultimately, this book. It taught him that perspectives create power, responsibilities create dignity, discipline creates freedom, emotional intelligence creates stability, and inner work creates outward transformation. As the creator of mental martial arts, Ryan combines psychology, street wisdom, spiritual grounding, and lived experience to help men see themselves clearly, not as the world labels them, but as they truly are. He writes for the men who are trying to figure life out while still carrying childhood wounds. He writes for the fathers trying to navigate co-parenting through pain. He writes for the brothers trying to stay disciplined in a world designed to distract them. He writes for the ones who want to love deeply but never saw love modeled correctly. He writes for the men trying to break generational patterns with no blueprint except their own courage. Dignity and respect is Ron's offering to the brotherhood. A reminder that healing is not weakness, clarity is not optional, and manhood is not defined by perfection, but evolution. This isn't just another author. This is a man who lived the work, bled through the lessons, repaired with what he broke, and now stands strong enough to guide others into their own rise. Ryan C. Sanders is not telling men who to be. He's showing men what is possible. Part 1. The Internal War. Chapter 1. The Psychological Roots of Dignity. Dignity is not a reward. Dignity is a memory. Before the world misnamed you, your dignity was whole. You entered the world worthy, without needing validation, permission, or performance. But the indigenous black man has lived through centuries of systems designed to disconnect him from that truth. He inherited labels instead of identity, suspicion instead of safety, judgment instead of understanding, pressure instead of support, survival instead of stability. Dignity then becomes more than self-esteem. It becomes recovery. When a man has been mispresented, misunderstood, miseducated about his own worth, the journey back to dignity becomes a form of spiritual justice. Reclaiming dignity is not about pride. It's about restoration of the internal truth that oppression tried to bury. From a psychological lens, dignity is the foundation of resilience. When a man knows who he is less reactive. He thinks before he moves. He communicates instead of combusts. He walks with clarity instead of chaos. He stops chasing validation. He rises above triggering environments. When dignity is damaged, a man becomes unstable. When dignity is restored, it becomes unshakable. Here's a statement. The world you live in was not designed for your peace. That's not negativity. That's neuroscience. Chronic exposure to racism and social threat rewires the male nervous system into hypervigilance. But what psychology now proves is that awareness and regulated breathing can rewire the brain toward calm and control. Dignity begins with this truth. A black man cannot rise in a world that misdefines him until he redefines himself. This book is that redefinition. Chapter 2. Respect and the Historical Wound. Respect for the black man is complicated, not because he is undeserving, but because history taught the world to fear him before it learned to understand him. Respect has been denied socially, weaponized politically, withheld economically, distorted culturally, sabotaged rationally, stripped systematically. When a man grows up in an environment where respect is scarce, he begins to chase dominance instead of dignity, react loudly to disrespect, hide his hurt behind aggression, misunderstand vulnerability as weakness, confuse fear with respect, demand what he's never taught to cultivate. This is the historical wound. The wound isn't just external, it's internal. It lives in the nervous system. It shows up in the voice. It tightens the jaw. It clenches the fist. It forms the ready for anything posture. It makes peace feel unsafe. It turns patience into threat. Every black man carries this wound, not because he failed, but because the system succeeded in creating it. But here's the psychological pivot. Respect is not something the world gives you. Respect is something you embody internally first. When a man learns emotional regulation, self-respect, grounded presence, clear boundaries, emotional intelligence, self-awareness. The world responds differently because he shows up differently. Respect begins with how you talk to yourself, how you breathe through conflict, how you respond to disrespect without losing dignity, how you lead your emotions instead of being led by them. This is the recalibration. When a man becomes emotionally literate, he becomes emotionally sovereign. And a sovereign man does not chase respect, he attracts it. Chapter 3. Trauma, Conditioning, and the Nervous System. This chapter is the turning point of the entire book. Every behavior a man displays, anger, silence, shutdown, impulsivity, defensiveness, numbness, can be traced back to one of three root systems: trauma, conditioning, or nervous system responses. Trauma. Trauma is not only what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you because of what happened. It shapes it. Emotional reactions, coping mechanisms, relationship patterns, stress tolerance, self-worth, worldview. Black men experience trauma differently because the threats are not only personal, they're systematic. Then there's conditioning. Conditioning is what the world taught you to believe. Don't show emotion. Stay ready. Be strong at all times. Silence keeps you safe. React first so no one gets the upper hand. This conditioning becomes your operating system until you rewrite it. Then there's the nervous system. Here's the science. Trauma plus conditioning equals a nervous system stuck in survival mode. Survival mode causes quicker anger, emotional shutdowns, overthinking, hypervigilance, inability to relax, trouble sleeping, defensiveness, impulsive behavior. But survival mode can be deactivated. Here's some tools. Box breathing, naming emotions, body check-ins, grounding techniques, slowing the breath to calm the amygdala, visualization, intentional silence. We keep all of that and elevate it. The goal of this chapter is simple. Teach the Black man how to shift from survival mode into sovereign mode. Sovereign mode is when the mind and body operates from clarity, logic, strategy, patience, presence, strength. This is where dignity resides. This is where respect grows. This is where the internal kingdom stabilizes. When a man calms his nervous system, he masters his life. When he masters his life, he becomes unstoppable. Chapter 4. The power of emotional regulation. A man who cannot regulate himself will always be regulated by the world. Every system, courts, workplace, schools, media, benefits when the Black man reacts instead of responds. Your anger becomes proof. Your silence becomes a weapon turned inward. Your shutdown becomes misdiagnosed as coldness. Your intensity gets mislabeled as a threat. From a psychological standpoint, this is not coincidence. It's conditioning. From a historical standpoint, it's not new. It's inherited. From a spiritual standpoint, it's a battle for your inner throne. And from a mental martial arts standpoint, emotional regulation is your first discipline, your first defense, your first evolution. This isn't about controlling emotions. It's about mastering the energy underneath them. A man who is emotionally regulated, he sees clearly, listens fully, speaks intentionally, moves strategically, chooses calmly, protects his dignity, guards his future. A man who is not emotionally regulated reacts impulsively, gets baited into battles beneath him, moves from survival instead of wisdom, misreads situations, damages relationships, loses opportunity, mistakes and adrenaline for power. The world wants you in survival mode. Survival mode is predictable. Survival mode is reactive. Survival mode is easy to manipulate. Survival mode is loud but not effective. But sovereign mode, that shakes the entire system. The science behind the king. Here's the psychology most men were never taught. Your amygdala controls threat responses. If it senses danger, real or imagined, It reacts before thought. Your prefrontal cortex is your logic, discipline, and decision making. When stressed, angry, or triggered, the amygdala overrides the prefrontal cortex. This creates what scientists call an amygdala hijack. The mind goes offline and survival takes over. Translation: you can't think like a king while your brain thinks you're in war zone. But here's the breakthrough. Breath resets the brain. Naming the emotion unlocks clarity. Stillness restores power. This is a MMA's first truth. Before you move your hands, move your breath. Mental martial arts, the regulation tool set. These are your foundational stances, your emotional equivalents of footwork, guard, and balance. Stance 1, box breathing. Inhale 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Repeat 4 to 6 cycles. This pulls the brain out of survival mode and into clarity. In MMA terms, your breath reopens the gates to your kingdom. Stance 2, name the emotion. Neuroscience confirms when you label a feeling, the amygdala calms down. Examples: I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I'm overwhelmed. I feel disrespected. Name it, own it. Then choose your next move. This is emotional accuracy, not weakness, not softness, not therapy talk. A man who can name his enemy can defeat it. A man who avoids the truth becomes controlled by it. Stance 3, body check-ins. Your body tells the truth before your mouth does. Ask, is my jaw tight? Are my shoulders raised? Are my fists clenched? Is my breath shallow? Is my chest hot? Relax them one by one. This resets your nervous system and removes panic from the throne. In MMA, a relaxed fighter is a dangerous fighter. Stance 4, internal pause. This is the king's discipline. Before responding, asks, what's my intention? Power or reaction? That single second can save relationships, jobs, opportunities, even lives. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. The calm king framework. A calm king does not need volume to prove strength, does not need emotions to lead the mission, does not chase respect. He embodies it. Does not fight every battle. He chooses the right one. Does not lose himself inside someone else's chaos. Does not let fear dress up as anger. Calm is not passive. Calm is not soft. Calm is not submissive. Calm is mastery. And the world fears a calm black man more than an angry one. Because calmness is unpredictable. Because calmness is clarity. Calmness is control. Because calmness is leadership. The calm king is the archetype the system never wanted you to discover. The spiritual root, breath as ancestry. From an ancestral perspective, your breath is your first elder. Your breath is the only part of you that existed before trauma, before conditioning, before society's expectations. When you return to your breath, you return to your lineage. You regulate not just your emotions, you regulate your bloodline. The realization, no one taught you emotional regulation. Because a regulated black man is powerful, and a powerful black man is unstoppable. This chapter gives you the foundation. The next chapter teaches you how to build the internal kingdom. Chapter 5, The Calm King Framework. A man becomes unstoppable the moment he realizes his true kingdom was never the streets, never the system, never the job, never the validation of women, and never the approval of men. His first and final kingdom is the one within. Every black man carries a throne inside of him, whether he sits on it or not. Yet centuries of assault, physical, emotional, spiritual, systematic, have pushed many men off of that throne into survival mode. This chapter is your return. Your ancestors weren't weak. They weren't uncentered. They weren't reactionary. They weren't emotionally ungoverned. They were rooted, disciplined, spiritually aligned, aware of unseen forces, masters of breath, aware of energy, and deeply connected to the movements of the mind and spirit. You come from men who held kingdoms without crowns, men who led tribes without titles, men who understood silence, self-control, and strategy as form of spiritual intelligence. This chapter restores that lineage. The inner kingdom, a spiritual model of self-governance. To govern anything is another way of saying to control it. When we look at the phrase ment or mentalis or mentality, we get an understanding that governments are controllers of the minds, aka mind control. Well, inside every man lives a spiritual government. Thoughts are the ministers. They advise, but must not rule. Emotions are the soldiers, powerful, loyal, but dangerous without command. The spirit is the throne, the highest authority, the seat of purpose and alignment. When a man is unregulated, those positions get reversed. Emotions jump in the throne. Thoughts become scattered. Spirit gets silenced beneath survival mode. A man ruled by emotions becomes unstable. A man ruled by ego becomes lost. A man ruled by fear becomes reactive. A man ruled by wound becomes unpredictable. But a man ruled by spirit, he becomes immovable. This is the calm king. The calm king is a spiritual warrior. Contrary to the stereotypes forced on black men, calmness is not submission. Calmness is a command of eternal forces. Psychology calls this executive function. Neuroscience calls it prefrontal regulation. Therapists calls it emotional intelligence. Our ancestors call it ma'at, divine order within the self. Mental martial arts calls it guarding your throne. A king who abandons his throne leaves his kingdom undefended. A man who abandons his center leaves his life unprotected. Calmness brings you back to the seat of power. Breath brings you back to awareness. Stillness brings you back to spirit. When calm, you see moves ahead. When calm, you hear intuition clearly. When calm, you read intentions and energy quickly. When calm, you are no longer dragged into battles beneath your rank. The calm king is not passive, he's precise. The breath is the gateway to the throne. Spirit and breath are the same word in many ancient languages. Roh, breath, spirit. Pranuma, breath, soul. Nashama, divine breath. Ka, life force. Your first ancestor was your breath. Everything you survived, your breath survived with you. When you regulate the breath, you regulate the kingdom. When you lose your breath, you lose your throne. This is why MMA begins with breath control. Box breathing, controlled exhalation, nostril breathing, diaphragm anchoring. These practices aren't relaxation, they're reclamation. Every time you breathe with intention, you remind your system, I am home. I am present. I am on the throne. Emotional alchemy, turning reaction into wisdom. Emotions are not your enemies. They're your soldiers. They need leadership. Anger reveals violated boundaries. Fear reveals misalignment or danger. Sadness reveals loss or unmet needs. Shame reveals identity wounds. Joy reveals alignment. Peace reveals spiritual truth. A king who ignores his soldiers loses the kingdom. A king who obeys his soldiers becomes ruled by chaos. The calm king listens to emotion. He translates them. He gathers the intelligence they provide. Then he makes a decision from spirit, not impulse. This is emotional alchemy, the transformation of raw feeling into strategic wisdom. Spirit as the inner throne. Here is the deepest truth of chapter 5. A black man is at his strongest when he is spiritually seated and psychologically still. From this throne, your vision sharpens, your patience expands, your intuition heightens, your voice softens but deepens, your energy becomes royal, your presence becomes stabilizing, your movements become intentional. Spirit aligns the kingdom, Spirit chooses the mission, Spirit directs the energy, Spirit decides which battles matter. Spirit tells the truth no emotion can distort. When Spirit leads, everything else falls into place. The return to the throne. Here is how a man returns to his throne daily. Breathe consciously before you respond. Sit in silence long enough for the mind to quiet. Ask Spirit, not ego, what is the higher purpose? Observe emotions without merging with them. Choose action from calm, not chaos. When you do this consistently, anger becomes clarity, fear becomes intuition, sadness becomes compassion, frustration becomes strategy, impulse becomes discipline, pressure becomes purpose. This is kingship, not the Instagram version, not the ego-driven version, not the performative version, the ancestral version, the spiritually governed version, the version your sons need, the version your daughters deserve, the version your ancestors prayed would return. A king who reclaims his throne becomes a man no system can define or destroy. Chapter 6. Self-talk, self-worth, an inner narrative, the voice inside the man. A man's life doesn't change when his circumstances shift. A man's life changes when his internal narrative transforms. Because your outer life is built from the blueprint of your inner belief. Your body follows your mind. Your habits follow your identity. Your relationship follow your self-worth. Your results follow your narrative. Your future follows the voice you believe. Your inner voice is the architect of your destiny, or the warden of your prison. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most Black men inherit a voice that wasn't theirs. It was shaped by broken systems, broken fathers, broken environments, broken schooling, broken love, broken expectations, broken portrayals of Black masculinity. This voice becomes a lie that feels like truth. But this chapter dismantles those lies one by one. The psychology of self-talk. Cognitive science teaches us this. Your brain believes whatever you repeat consistently. Not what's real, not what's factual, not what's possible, what's repeated. Conscious mind is loyal, not logical. If a man repeatedly hears, "You're dangerous," he becomes defensive. If he hears, "You're not enough," he becomes reactive. If he hears, "Be strong," or "Be punished," he becomes emotionally numb. If he hears, "Don't trust anyone," he becomes relationally distant. Internal dialogue shapes confidence, emotional bandwidth, decision-making, resilience, communication, leadership, love. And here's the deeper spiritual truth. A man's inner voice is the echo of his earliest teachers, the spiritual root of self-worth. In African cosmology, identity is sacred. A man is born with purpose stamped into his spirit, but the world spends his entire childhood trying to erase it. Self-worth is not ego. Self-worth is remembrance. It is the quiet knowing. I come from something divine. I am not random. Your value is not assigned by society. It is inherited from God, from ancestors, from soul. When a man remembers who he is, the world cannot convince him otherwise. The war between two voices. Every Black man carries two internal narrators. The affected voice, formed from trauma, miseducation, stereotypes, and emotional abandonment. It says, "Stay guarded, stay ready. Nobody's coming. Don't let them play you. Don't show weakness. Don't trust love. Don't expect peace." This voice kept you alive, but it cannot help you live. Number 2, the protective voice. This is the voice beneath the wounds, the one that survived everything that tried to silence it. It says, you were made with purpose. You are more powerful than your past. Peace belongs to you. Love is your birthright. You are designed to build, not only survive. Your gentleness is not weakness. Your presence shifts the room. This is the voice of the spirit, the king, the leader, the healed masculine. Your growth depends on which voice you feed. Rebuilding the inner narrative. This is where psychology and spirituality join forces. Cognitive reframing. This tool breaks the inner lie before it becomes behavior. If the thought is, I always mess things up, reframe. I've learned from every challenge and I'm improving daily. If the thought is, I can't trust anyone, reframe. I choose my circle with discernment. I am safe with wise and healed women and men. If I thought, I'm not enough, reframe, I am becoming who I was born to be. Number 2, ancestral affirmation. This is not positive talk. This is identity reclamation. Say, my blood remembers who I am. I walk with the strength of every man before me. My mind is my throne. My spirit is my crown. Affirmations do not change reality. They change the men who meet reality. Number 3, spiritual journaling. This is a conversation with self and ancestors. Prompts. What lie about myself am I ready to release? What truth am I afraid to admit? Where do I silence my own spirit? Who would I become without fear? This is the excavation work. Digging out the false foundation to rebuild a real one. The blueprint of a healthy inner voice. When your inner narrative is healed, it produces confidence without arrogance, humility without self-minimizing, strength without rage, calm without passivity, leadership without ego, love without fear. This is the voice that builds. Healthy families, healthy manhood, healthy minds, healthy futures. A man with a healed inner voice becomes his own author again. The spiritual revelation. The inner narrative is not just psychology, it is prophecy. Every word you speak internally sends a signal into your future. Your inner voice becomes the architect of your outer life. The question is simple. Who is speaking inside you? The wound or the warrior? The trauma or the truth? The boy or the king? The fear or the spirit? This chapter teaches you to choose. Chapter 7. The internal kingdom, mind, emotions, spirit. The kingdom every man must learn to rule. Every black man carries 3 realms inside him. The mind, the strategist, the emotions, the warriors, and the spirit, throne. When these realms are in conflict, the man is in chaos. When these realms are aligned, the man becomes whole. A man doesn't lose his power in the world. He loses it inside himself first. This chapter is about restoring order in the inner kingdom. Because the simple truth is, a man cannot build anything stable outside himself until he stabilizes the kingdom within. The mind, the strategic chamber. Your mind is the council room of your kingdom. It analyzes, interprets, plans, solves, protects, predicts, directs. But psychology teaches us this. The mind is not naturally wise. It is naturally reactive. It learns from experience, trauma, environment, and repetition, meaning your mind has been trained by the world long before you learn to train it yourself. This is why so many men live lives with intrusive thoughts, worst-case scenarios, overthinking, distrust, fear-based planning, sabotage, mental exhaustion. But mental martial arts teaches thoughts are servants, not masters. The king tells the thoughts where to go. To reclaim this chamber, cognitive awareness, identities when thoughts are fear-based, trauma-based, or ego-based, cognitive command, replace them with strategic, grounded, identity-based thoughts, cognitive silence. Use stillness to break the cycles of excessive thinking. When the mind is trained, a man becomes a strategist, not a reactor. The emotions, the warrior chamber. Your emotions are not the enemy. They are the soldiers sworn to protect you. But when soldiers act without leadership, they become destructive. Emotions are your instinct, intuition, alert system, passion, drive, compassion, fire, heart. But untrained emotions become rage, shutdown, numbness, overreaction, jealousy, impulsive, self-sabotage. Here's what psychology plus ancestral wisdom both agree on. Emotions are energy in motion. They must be guided, not suppressed. Black men were taught, don't cry, don't feel, don't show weakness, don't trust your heart, don't look soft. So emotions were buried instead of understood. But buried emotions don't die, they become landmines. The calm king teaches emotions serve the throne, they do not sit on it. You regulate emotions by breath, naming the emotion, body awareness, grounding, slowing the reaction, speaking truth, being honest with yourself, not responding immediately. When emotions are trained, they become your army, not your enemy. The spirit, the throne room. Spirit is the seat of identity. It is your intuition, conscious, higher self, ancestral connection, divine alignment, purpose, inner compass. Spirit is the part of you the world tried hardest to break, because a spiritually grounded black man is ungovernable. When spirit leads, the mind thinks clearly, the emotions obey, the body relaxes, boundaries strengthen, purpose becomes clear, distractions fall away. Spirit brings order. This is why ancient African teachings place spirit at the center of masculinity, not ego, not aggression, not performance. Spirit makes a man. Discerning, peaceful, wise, balanced, disciplined, compassionate, powerful without force. Spirit is the throne from which the true king reigns. The three realms must be in order. When the internal kingdom is misaligned, emotions sit on a throne, mind becomes paranoid, spirit becomes silent, body becomes tense, life becomes chaotic. Examples. Emotion-led man acts without thinking, regrets later. Mind-led men overthinks, never moves, paralyzed by logic. Ego-led men confuse confidence with dominance, destroys relationships. Wounded-led men repeats generational pain, creates cycles he never wanted. But here's the transformation. Spirit-led men. Emotion serves the mission. Mind strategizes the mission. Spirit chooses the mission. This is balance. This is manhood. This is sovereignty. The internal kingdom, alignment practice. This daily practice realigns your realms. Step 1, sit in stillness. Spirit leads. Let the breath slow down. Calm your energetic field. Invite the ancestors. Listen. Step 2, ask the peaceful mind, your higher self, for counsel. What is the truth of this moment? Not fear, not trauma, truth. Step 3, tell the emotions their role. I hear you. You are valid, but you are not in charge. Step 4, command the outcome. Choose your next move from spiritual clarity. This is the ritual of internal kings. The mark of a man who rules himself. A spiritually led man is impossible to manipulate, difficult to provoke, grounded under pressure, emotionally literate, mentally structured, spiritually aligned, ancestrally rooted, calm without explanation, commanding without aggression. He becomes a king not because he says he is, but because his inner kingdom agrees. Chapter 8. Guard your dignity like currency. Your dignity is your most valuable currency. Some men spend money recklessly. Some spend time recklessly. But the most dangerous thing a man can spend carelessly is his dignity. Dignity is your internal wealth, your spiritual backbone, your self-respect in motion. And in a society that constantly mislabels, misjudges, and misreads black men, dignity becomes a form of economic power. It determines how you show up. It determines what you allow. It determines who you trust, determines how you love. It determines what you tolerate, determines how you carry yourself in adversity. A man without dignity becomes reactive. A man with dignity becomes unshakable. The psychology of dignity. Behavioral science confirms when a man's self-worth is low, he accepts disrespect, overacts to minor triggers, performs masculinity, chooses chaos over clarity, chases validation, sabotages opportunities, connects to anyone who gives him attention, confuses dominance with value. This is not because he is weak. It is because he is unanchored. Dignity is the anchor. A man of dignity pauses before acting, thinks before speaking, knows when to walk away, knows when to assert himself, maintains order under pressure, chooses environment intentionally. Dignity is how a man builds his life from the inside out. The spiritual root of dignity. In African indigenous traditions, dignity wasn't a concept, it was a birthright. A man's dignity came from his alignment with ancestors, the clarity of his heart, the integrity of his actions, the truth in his words, the balance of his masculine and spiritual centers. Your dignity is sacred because it connects you to your spiritual identity. When your dignity is intact, you walk with quiet confidence, controlled fire, noble presence, ancestral weight, divine purpose. You become the version of yourself your ancestors intended. The world will try to buy your dignity cheap. A job can buy it with disrespect. A relationship can buy it with guilt. The streets can buy it with ego. Society can buy it with provocation. Your past can buy it with shame. Your trauma can buy it with silence. But here's the truth. Dignity is priceless. Don't accept low offers. You don't argue with people who don't value you. You don't stay in places where your spirit shrinks. You don't react to everything that calls your name. You don't trade peace for attention. When you know your worth, you stop auditioning. Behavioral science, protecting dignity through habit. Psychologists call it self-schema, the internal blueprint of how a man sees himself. Your habit prove your identity. These small practices reinforce dignity daily. Keep your word. If you say it, do it. If you can't do it, don't say it. Integrity is a spiritual armor. Honor your boundaries. Say no. Walk away. Distance yourself. Peace is a boundary, not a luxury. Demand respect quietly. You don't yell to be respected. You carry yourself in a way that makes disrespect feel out of place. Maintain emotional discipline. Your mood cannot be your master. Your breath cannot be optional. Walk with intent. Every step is energy. Every action is identity. Every decision is a declaration. These habits hardwire dignity into your nervous system. Why people test a dignified man? A man with dignity forces people to confront their lack of it. Your presence exposes immaturity, insecurity, manipulation, emotional chaos. This is why some women test boundaries. Some men compete unnecessarily. Some employers try to provoke. Some systems try to misjudge. Some people try to minimize you. Your dignity triggers the unhealed. Don't dim it. Don't apologize. Don't shrink. You're not responsible for their wound. You're responsible for your kingdom. The mental martial arts approach, dignity as defense. In MMA terms, dignity is your guard stance. You don't fight every swing. You defend your center. The calm king understands silence is a counterattack. Walking away is a victory. Not responding is emotional mastery. Being unbothered is strategy. Presence is pressure. Discipline is dominance. Your dignity is not what you say, it's how you move. The dignity checklist. Use this weekly. Did I react more than I responded? Did I shrink or stand? Did I choose peace over ego? Did I protect my boundaries? Did I honor my spirit? Did I leave situations that insulted my soul? Did I treat myself like a man worthy of respect? Dignity is not a feeling, it is a lifestyle. The spiritual reward of dignity. When a man guards his dignity, something supernatural happens. Self-respect deepens. Emotional stability strengthens. Relationships become healthier. Opportunities align. Instincts sharpen. Intuition heightens. Ancestral guidance become clearer. You stop living like you're trying to survive. You start living like you were designed to lead. Dignity returns you to yourself. And when you return to yourself, your entire life recalibrates. Chapter 9. Communication Mastery for Modern Black Men. Real talk. Most black men were never taught how to communicate. Let's cut the nonsense. If you grew up seeing men yell, seeing men go silent, seeing men walk out, seeing men withdraw, seeing men fight, seeing men shut down, seeing men love women but not know how to talk to them, then communication was not part of your skill set. It was part of your survival. And surviving communication is not the same as mastering it. Psychology books talk about attachment style, emotional expression, and conflict resolution. But out here in the real world, you're trying to figure out, how do I talk without being misunderstood? How do I express emotion without looking weak? How do I stay calm when I feel disrespected? How do I talk to a woman who's emotional without losing my cool? How do I communicate in a world that already assumes I'm the problem? This chapter gives you the real practical Big Brother blueprint for communication mastery. Why communication is hard for men like us. Let's break it down without sugarcoating anything. You were taught to be a protector, not a communicator. Emotions were a liability. Silence kept you safe. You were rewarded for being strong, not for being expressive. Boys who talk too much were soft. You were trained to communicate through action, not words. Working, providing, fixing. That was your communication. You were conditioned to defend yourself before you explain yourself because the world misreads black men instantly. You were told feelings don't matter, but unspoken feelings become explosive energy. Nothing's wrong with you. The manual was wrong. Now we upgrade the operating system. Big bro truth. Good communication is a superpower. A man who communicates well is respected, trusted, followed, loved, admired, listened to, taken seriously. Because communication is leadership. And leadership is masculine energy at its highest form. When you know how to communicate, you can lead a household, de-escalate conflict, negotiate anything, maintain peace, protect your relationships, break generational trauma, build trust with your children, handle work environments, gain respect without raising your voice. Communication is not talking. Communication is control. The MMA Communication Code. Here is the street smart, spiritually grounded discipline for communication mastery. Step 1. Don't clap back. Clarify. Most men get into arguments because they react before they understand. Instead, ask the golden question. Help me understand what you're really saying here. That question lowers her defenses or his and raises your clarity. You become the leader of the conversation, not the reactor. Step 2, lower your voice, raise your presence. The loudest man is not the strongest. The calmest man is. When your voice is low and your eyes are focused, people listen automatically. You create gravity. Women feel safer. Men respect you. Arguments lose energy. Presence is volume. Step 3, speak your feelings, not your fear. Most men speak from fear, not truth. Fear says, don't play me. Truth says, that hurt my feelings. Fear says, you always tripping. Truth says, I feel disrespected when this happens. Fear says, you're doing too much. Truth says, I need a moment to process. Fear escalates. Truth connects. Big difference. Step 4. Master the power of pause. Silence is a strategy. When you pause, emotions cool, the brain regulates, clarity rises, disrespect disappears. You stop saying things you can't take back. Use the pause when you feel triggered. The conversation is going nowhere. Someone's escalating. You need to think. Your emotions are talking too loud. Say, I hear you. Give me a second. That's big brother maturity. Step 5. Call out the real issues. Arguments are rarely about what they're about. She says, you don't listen. What she means is, I don't feel valued. You say, you're getting on my nerves. What you mean, I feel overwhelmed and don't know how to say it. Train yourself to identify the real battlefield. Speak to the wounds, not the weapon. Step 6. Use the 3-move combo. This is the most powerful communication technique for Black men in relationships. Number 1, validate. I hear you. Number 2, clarify. Here's what I think you're saying. Number 3, express. Here's how I feel. This combo disarms arguments instantly. Sensei side note, I do hope you're taking notes. This is some real shiznit. Step 7. Never communicate when you're not yourself. This protects your dignity. Don't talk angry. Don't talk exhausted. Don't talk triggered. Don't talk drunk. Don't talk during shutdown. Say, I want to talk about this when I'm centered, not when I'm irritated. That's leadership, not avoidance. For Black love, speaking to her heart. Here's the uncomfortable yet necessary truth. I had to learn this from experience, and on my 3rd marriage, on the top of that, Black women communicate emotionally. Black men communicate logically. This is not incompatibility. It's dance. She feels first. You think first. When you combine them, you get harmony. Let her express. Don't police her tone. Ask real questions. What do you need from me right now? Repeat what you heard so she knows you're listening. Keep your voice steady. That grounds her nervous system. Don't rush to fix. Listen first. When a woman feels seen, she stops raising her voice. When a man feels respected, he stops shutting down. Communication is chemistry. Spiritual masculinity in communication. In ancestral culture, men spoke less, but when they spoke, every word hit with weight. Their tone created safety. Their energy carried wisdom. Their presence commanded attention. Communication wasn't performance, it was a vibration. Modern men need that again. Speak from your spirit, not your wound. Speak with intention, not ego. Speak with calm authority, not volume. Your voice can heal or harm. Choose wisely. Chapter 10. Brotherhood and the return of community. Real talk. Men don't heal in isolation. Black men have been taught to stand alone. Handle it yourself. Don't trust nobody. Keep your business quiet. People will use your weakness against you. Figure it out on your own. That mindset kept you alive, but it also kept you isolated, unsupported, misunderstood, emotionally disconnected. The truth? Lone wolves don't lead packs. Lone wolves starve. Every strong man you admire had a circle. Every great leader was shaped by community. Every warrior sharpened his skills with other warriors. Every king inherited a council. But Black men were separated on purpose, spiritually, emotionally, socially, economically, because unity makes us powerful. Brotherhood is not optional. Brotherhood is survival. It's strategy. It's medicine. Brotherhood is restoration. The historical assault on brotherhood. Let's put it plainly. Slavery separated brothers. Prison separated brothers. Racism separated brothers. Economic distress separated brothers. Misogyny and competition separated brothers. Gang cultures turned brothers into rivals. Trauma made vulnerability feel like danger. The streets replaced brotherhoods with bravado. Society knows one truth. A connected black man is liberated black man. A liberated black man is a powerful black man. A powerful black man becomes a problem for the system. So the system encourages isolation. This chapter breaks that. The psychology of men and brotherhood. Clinical research confirms men who have strong male bonds live longer, recover faster, have lower depression rates, show better emotional regulation, build stronger families, exhibit higher resilience, make smarter decisions, have fewer anger episodes, feel less loneliness and shame. Why? Because brotherhood gives a man reflection, accountability, belonging, honesty, support, challenge, shared wisdom. A brother sees you without the mask. A brother checks your blind spots. A brother calls you out and calls you up. Men don't just need friends. Men need tribe. The spiritual math of brotherhood. In ancient African traditions, a man is not a man unless another man has witnessed his becoming. Brotherhood is a spiritual infrastructure, the fire circle where warriors tell the truth, the council where decisions are made, the path where boys became men, the space where spirits sharpen each other. Brotherhood is sacred because iron cannot sharpen itself. Spirit cannot elevate alone. Kings cannot rise without other kings. An isolated man is an unprotected kingdom. The mental martial arts framework for brotherhood. Every man needs 3 types of brothers. Number 1, the elder. He knows what you don't know yet. He sees farther. He makes you think bigger. He corrects you without breaking you. He gives you wisdom you didn't know you needed. Number 2, the peer. The man fighting through life right beside you. Your accountability partner. Your equal iron. The one who sees when you're slipping and pulls you back. Number 3, the younger. The man you pour into. The one who reminds you of your responsibility. The one who makes you live with intention because he's watching. A complete man has all 3. The street reality of brotherhood. Let's keep it real. Most men don't trust other men because of betrayal, competition, envy, ego, unresolved trauma, fear of being judged, fear of appearing weak, old wounds from childhood, survival mode independence. But here's the truth. Nobody told you. You don't heal because people didn't show up. You heal when you show up for yourself first. Brotherhood starts with emotional honesty, humility, mutual respect, no competition, no judgment, no gossip, no facades. A real brother won't clown your vulnerability. A real brother won't weaponize your truth. A real brother won't act superior. A real brother won't disappear when life hits. Brotherhood isn't built with perfect men. It's built with honest ones. The spiritual role of brotherhood in a black man's life. Brotherhood strengthens the 3 chambers of your kingdom. Mind. Brothers challenge your thinking and sharpen your logic. Emotions. Brothers help you express, regulate, and process. Spirit. Brothers stand with you in prayer, meditation, purpose, alignment, and truth. Brotherhood is sacred because it protects your purpose, elevates your identity, strengthens your discipline, breeds accountability, expands your vision, guards your spirit, stabilizes your masculinity. Your ancestors declared together. Now your generation heals together. Building your brotherhood. The 3 rules. Rule 1, tell the truth. If you can't be honest, you can't be helped. Rule 2, drop the ego. Ego blocks blessings, bonds, and breakthroughs. Rule 3, stay consistent. Brotherhood is built on repetition, not one time, deep talks, weekly check-ins, monthly gatherings, daily accountability. This is tribe. The brotherhood check-in script. Every week, ask each other, what's something real you're facing this week? Where did you struggle? What did you learn? How can we support you? If brothers ask each other these questions, half the trauma in our community would be dismantled. The outcome of real brotherhood. A man with a tribe becomes more emotionally stable, more disciplined, more confident, more respected, more spiritually aligned, more supported, more purposeful, more peaceful, more dangerous to the system, more loving at home. Brotherhood turns men into kings. Brotherhood rebuilds the village. Brotherhood restructures identity. Brotherhood heals generations. You don't just need brothers. Your destiny depends on them. Chapter 11. Redefining success. Alignment over image. The lie you were taught. Success is image. From childhood, most black men were taught the same formula. Success equals money, clothes, cars, women, status, dominance, attention, hustle, culture, looking like you made it. But it's the truth. Image is a costume. Alignment is a calling. Image is performative. Alignment is transformative. Image impresses people. Alignment impresses the universe, your ancestors, and your future self. Image burns out your soul. Alignment expands it. Image is noise. Alignment is a signal. You weren't born to chase an image. You were born to walk in identity. The system wants you to chase image, success. Why? Because a man addicted to image spends recklessly, competes unnecessarily, overworks himself, avoids introspection, destroys relationships, hides his wounds, loses purpose, becomes emotionally unstable, becomes spiritually disconnected. When a man chases an image, his worth is always for sale. When a man walks in alignment, his worth becomes untouchable. The psychology of false success. Behavioral science calls it hedonic chasing, the endless pursuit of things that give temporary pleasure but no long-term fulfillment. Men stuck in image-based success consistently compare themselves, feel insecure without validation, need applause to feel worthy, fear losing status, act out of ego, confuse attention with admiration, numb themselves with distraction. Psychologists say this creates chronic anxiety, burnout, emotional disconnection, relationship instability, and identity confusion. In simple terms, chasing images disconnect you from yourself. The spiritual root of real success. In African indigenous cultures, success equals alignment with purpose. A man was not successful because of what he owned, what he wore, and how many people liked him, how loud he spoke, how feared he was. He was successful because he walked in truth. He protected his community. He governed his emotions. He honored the ancestors. He stayed disciplined. He lived from spirit. He used his gifts intentionally. He embodied integrity. He made wise decisions. Spiritual success is not performance, it's presence, not accumulation, alignment, not validation, vibration. When you're aligned, everything in your life responds differently. You think clearer, you move clearer, you love deeper, you speak wiser, you act intentional, you attract stability, you protect peace, you become magnetic. Alignment is masculine power in its purest form. The MMA breakdown, success through alignment, mental martial arts teaches. A man is only successful when his mission, mindset, and movements are unified. Let's break that down. Mission, spirit, your purpose, calling, divine assignment. Mindset, mind, your beliefs, discipline, focus, movements, behavior, your habits, decision, daily rituals. When these three align, a man becomes unstoppable, not because of what he has, but because of who he is. The street lesson. Stop trying to look successful. Be successful. The street's influence will have you buying things you can't afford, impressing people who don't matter, competing with men who are lost, hustling for validation, performing masculinity, chasing women for ego, showing off instead of growing up. Big bro truth. Looking successful is easy. Being successful is rare. Real success is peace, discipline, respect, emotional control, structure, self-worth, purpose, consistency, alignment, legacy. Anybody can look rich. Few men can sleep at night. Rebuilding success, the alignment model. Here's the new blueprint. Step 1, identify your calling. Ask, what did universe, quote, God, design me to do? What problem am I born to solve? What gifts keep trying to break out of me? Step 2, build an internal structure. You cannot live a great life with weak discipline. Daily structure equals masculine stability. Step 3, remove false attachments. Unfollow distractions. Unlearn ego. Detach from images. Release old versions of you. Step 4, make decisions from spirit, not stress. Spirit chooses purpose. Stress chooses patterns. Step 5, focus on legacy, not likes. Likes die. Legacy multiplies. The spirit psychology of legacy. Legacy is generational emotional healing, stabilizing your lineage, building internal and external wealth, giving your children tools you never had, protecting your woman with wisdom, not dominance, breaking cycles, making decisions your family can stand on. Legacy is not what you leave behind. It's who you are while you're still here. How to know if you're a man living in alignment? A man walking in alignment moves with peace, carries spiritual order, doesn't chase validation, attracts respect, leads with clarity, protects his energy, builds instead of reacts, loves intentionally, speaks with purpose, stays rooted under pressure. The aligned man doesn't compete. The aligned man doesn't perform. The aligned man doesn't pretend. He doesn't chase. He attracts. He doesn't force. He flows. He doesn't panic. He plans. He doesn't fake strength. He is strength. Alignment is manhood matured. Chapter 12. Honoring the black woman as partner, not opponent. The truth? You cannot build in this world without the black woman. A black man without honor is unstable. A black woman without safety is unrooted. Together they either rise or they repeat trauma disguised as love. The system has always known this truth. If you separate the black man from the black woman, you weaken the nation. If you confuse the black man about the black woman, you weaken the household. If you turn the man and woman into opponents, you collapse the future. This chapter restores their original structure. Black women are not opponents, not rivals, not obstacles, not emotional combat zones. A black woman is your equal, your balance, your mirror, your ally, your teacher, your counterpart, your reflection, your confirmation, your evidence. A king is only as strong as the peace of his queen. The historical wound between us. Let's tell the truth. Black men and black women were never meant to fight each other, but trauma turned us into adversaries. The world took the man's dignity, the woman's softness, the man's leadership, the woman's trust, the man's stability, the woman's emotional safety, and left behind stereotypes, broken families, distrust, frustration, miscommunication, emotional exhaustion, and relational pain. Psychology calls it attachment trauma. The street calls it, we don't understand each other. Spirit calls it a broken covenant. We were conditioned to fear one another when we were meant to heal one another. The psychology of honor. Men honor when their nervous system is regulated, their ego is quiet, their purpose is aligned, their identity is stable, their emotions are disciplined, their trauma is acknowledged, their dignity is intact. Women feel safest when the man is consistent, the man is emotionally present, the man communicates clearly, the man speaks softly but firm, the man listens without rushing, the man doesn't play emotional chess, the man is dependable, the man leads without controlling, the man values her feelings. Honor is not performance. Honor is relational intelligence. Honor is masculine leadership as emotional safety. The spiritual role of Black women in the kingdom. In African cosmetology, the woman is the portal. The man is the protector. The woman is the energy. The man is the structure. The woman is the intuition. The man is the direction. The woman is the soil. The man is the seed. The woman is the moon. The man is the sun. Opposites, yet deeply interdependent. She births the world spiritually and literally. You guard the world structurally and energetically. She interprets emotion. You interpret logic. She is water. You are fire. Both are needed. Both are divine. Both are powerful. The empress completes what the king brings. The street truth. A Black woman is not your enemy. She's not nagging. She's expressing unmet safety needs. She's not too emotional. She's emotionally literate. She's not strong because she wants to be. She had no choice. She's not independent because she hates men. She adapted to survive because the men she chose didn't show up in more than one way. She's not masculine. She's unprotected. She's not difficult. She's discerning. She's not cold. She's hurt. She's not angry. She's exhausted. Or intentional harm created these conditions. Healing through acceptance restores her balance. A Black woman softens in the presence of emotional consistency, accountable leadership, masculine stability, spiritual grounding, patient communication, safe energy, truth, transparency, love without manipulation. The more aligned you are as a man, the more peaceful she becomes as a woman. The king's responsibility, not domination, not fear, not control, not perfection. Responsibility. A king is responsible for the tone of the home, the emotional energy he brings, the way he communicates, the way he reacts, the kind of love he models, the way he protects her peace, the examples he sets for the children, the discipline he maintains, the boundaries he holds, the truth he lives by. A man cannot demand respect from a woman he refuses to make safe. The MMA approach to partnership. Here's how a man shows honor in practice. Number 1, stability is greater than sensitivity. She doesn't need you to be stoic like a statue. She needs you grounded, not chaotic. Number 2, listen to understand, not respond. Listening regulates her nervous system. When you listen, she softens. When she softens, she trusts. When she trusts, she supports without resistance. Number 3, control your tone. Tone is war or peace. Choose peace. Number 4, validate her feelings. Not as right, but as real. Speak truth without harm. Honesty delivered without ego builds intimacy. Number 6, be present, not perfect. Your presence is more valuable than your perfection. Lead with integrity, not authority. Authority demands obedience. Integrity earns devotion. The healed Black man understands these truths. A woman cannot rest if she cannot trust you. A woman cannot trust you if she cannot read you. A woman cannot read you if you hide everything. A woman cannot feel safe if you are unpredictable. A woman cannot love freely if she is always bracing for impact. A woman cannot soften around a man who is emotionally sharp. Your calm is her safety. Your structure is her rest. Your presence is her grounding. Your devotion is her security. Your emotional maturity is her peace. This is not gender roles. This is energetic order. The Empress Mirror. A healed Black man reflects stability, balance, devotion, consistency, patience, strength, clarity, compassion. And in return, a healed Black woman reflects softness, intuition, nurture, wisdom, peace, vulnerability, partnership, strength of her own. Two mirrors facing each other multiply light, not conflict, not trauma, not battles, not ego, not pain. The beauty of repair. Every relationship will face misunderstandings, emotional collisions, communication errors. wound resurfacing. But the man sets the tone for repair. How? By apologizing without excuses, by listening without defense, by staying present, not running, by calming instead of escalating, by honoring her emotional experience, by offering clarity, not confusion. A man who repairs well is a man who leads well. The street level bottom line. A black woman is your partner, not your competitor, not your emotional opponent, not your enemy, not your test, not your challenge, not your obstacle. She's the other side of your destiny. Honor her, and she multiplies everything inside you. Dishonor her, and life will mirror that back to you. This is the spiritual law. Chapter 13. Heal before you build. Real truth. Unhealed men build from wounds, not wisdom. A man can build a body, a brand, a bag, a family, and a home, and still destroy everything with his own unhealed trauma. Because skill doesn't fix wounds. Money doesn't fix wounds. Success doesn't fix wounds. Sex doesn't fix wounds. Hustle doesn't fix wounds. Strength doesn't fix it. If pain is the architect, the foundation will always crack. Modern culture tells men to build quickly. Ancient culture taught men to build correctly. Psychology adds, unhealed trauma becomes habitual behavior. Spiritual law adds, you can't rise above the parts of yourself you refuse to confront. The street adds, what you don't repair, you repeat. What you don't face, you chase. What you don't heal, you hurt with. Where attention goes, energy flows. This chapter is your initiation. The psychology of why men avoid healing. Men avoid healing for reasons that make sense. You were taught to endure, not express. Pain was something to swallow, not examine. You were taught that emotions threaten respect. Being strong meant being silent. You were taught healing is for women, not warriors. False narrative. Healing creates warriors. You didn't grow up seeing healed men. Most men only saw anger, aggression, withdrawal, addiction, emotional shutdown, numbing, alcoholism, cheating, emotional abstinence. You were taught to fix everything except yourself. Cars, jobs, houses, but not the heart. The result? Men build externally while breaking internally. The ancestral wisdom of healing. In indigenous traditions, before a young man became a warrior, he entered the clearing, a sacred space where he faced his wounds, he confronted his fears, he released childhood pain, he met his spirit, he reconnected to his ancestors, he learned emotional discipline, he understood his purpose, he mastered his own energy. Only then was he ready to lead, love, and protect. Modern men skip the clearing, then wonder why life collapsed. If you don't heal before you build, what you build becomes a prison of your own reactions. Healing is not feminine. Healing is foundational. The Mental Martial Arts Initiative, the 4 wounds men must face. Every black man carries 4 primary wounds of some sort. Number 1, the father wound. Whether he was absent, inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or present but unhealed, this wound shapes identity. It creates fear of failure, emotional distance, difficulty trusting, performance-based worth, craving validation from women, anger at male authority, defensiveness. Healing this wound restores direction. Number 2, the mother wound. Even the strongest mothers unintentionally wound sons when they depend on them emotionally. They overprotect, they underprotect, they expect performance, they model survival instead of rest. This creates people-pleasing, over-caretaking, guilt, resentment, emotional confusion, avoiding feminine vulnerability. Healing this wound restores balance. Number 3, the masculinity wound. Society taught black men suppress emotion, react to disrespect, distrust vulnerability, chase dominance, hide weakness. This produces emotional immaturity, relationship chaos, intimacy fear, conflict cycles. Healing this wound restores maturity. Number 4, the society wound. Systematic racism teaches black men They are threats. They are failures. They must consistently defend themselves. They must be twice as strong to be seen as equal. This creates chronic stress, hypervigilance, rage, shutdown, self-doubt. Healing this wound restores identity and self-worth. The big bro truth, you cannot outrun your unhealed self. You can move states, you can change women, you can switch jobs, you can stack money, you can get accolades, you can build muscle, you can start businesses. But if the wounded version of you is still running the show, you're not evolving. You're relocating the same pain. Wherever you go, your unhealed self follows. Because a man who avoids healing doesn't grow, he mutates. Healing returns you to truth. The 3 healing structures. Emotional healing. This is where you face childhood pain, heartbreak, abandonment, betrayal, shame, anger, grief. Tools. Journaling, therapy, honest conversations, silence practice, naming emotions. The goal? Emotional mastery, not emotional avoidance. Number 2, spiritual healing. This is where you reconnect to your intuition, your ancestors, your purpose, your inner voice, your higher self, your divine identity. Tools? Meditation, prayer, nature walks, grounding rituals, gratitude, ancestral connection. The goal? Alignment, not hustle. 3, behavioral healing. This is where you break toxic patterns, self-sabotage, compulsive behaviors, addictive cycles, old habits, generational curses. Tools? Discipline, accountability, new routines, consistent habits, brotherhood, lifestyle structures. The goal? Transformation, not trying. Why you must heal first before you lead anything. Healing gives you clarity to choose the right partner, patience to raise healthy children, emotional intelligence to communicate, discipline to build legacy, spiritual grounding to withstand storms, identity strong enough to resist temptation, boundaries to protect yourself, empathy to love deeply, presence to lead calmly, wisdom to navigate chaos. Without healing, your wounds raise your children. Your ego leads your relationships. Your trauma chooses your partner. Your triggers run your household. Your past shapes your decisions, and your fears control your future. If you heal first, what you build lasts. If you build first, what you build breaks. The King's Healing Checklist. Ask yourself, where am I still bleeding? What anger do I carry? Who do I still resent? What childhood moment still affects me? What am I afraid to confront? What patterns do I repeat? What emotions do I ignore? What parts of me need compassion? Write the answers, think them, face them, honor them. You cannot lead others until you lead yourself. This is why it has taken me so long to even get here. I literally had to learn this lesson. The spiritual revelation. Healing is not self-help. Healing is spiritual warfare. You're fighting generational trauma, systematic programming, ego, fear, insecurity, internal chaos, spiritual blockages, identity confusion, ancestral wounds. When a man heals, his entire bloodline feels it. You're not just healing yourself. You're healing your grandson's future. You're healing your daughter's self-esteem. You're healing your family tree. This is masculine priesthood. This is ancestral responsibility. This is divine assignment. Chapter 14. Discipline is your freedom. The lie. Freedom means doing what you want. Most men think freedom means no rules, no boundaries, no accountability, no structure, no restriction. That's not freedom. That's chaos. Chaos creates anxiety, inconsistency, emotional breakdowns, financial trouble, unstable relationships, poor self-worth, lack of trust in self, spiritual confusion. A man without discipline is like a kingdom without walls. Anything can enter. Anything can destroy. Anything can distract. But here's the truth. True freedom is created by discipline, not from absence of it. Discipline is the foundation of masculinity. Let's break it down in the language of psychology, spirituality, and the streets. Psychology says Discipline creates predictable outcomes, stable behavior, and emotional regulation. Spirituality says discipline aligns the soul with divine order. Street wisdom says a man who can't control himself ain't ready for nothing serious. Mental martial arts says structure is the container of power. Without structure, power leaks. Without discipline, purpose dissolves. Why discipline feels hard for most men? Nobody taught you how to build routine, how to form habits, how to stay consistent, how to follow order, how to create personal commandments, how to regulate emotion, how to structure life. Instead, many black men learn survival, improvisation, hustle, emotional suppression, working under pressure, making reactive decisions, adapting to instability. Survival teaches quick thinking, not long-term structure. Healing requires the opposite. The psychology of discipline. In neuroscience, discipline is tied to prefrontal cortex decision-making, dopamine reward system, emotional regulation, habit formation loops. Your brain literally strengthens every time you follow through on your own word. When you repeatedly choose discipline, confidence grows, self-respect grows, impulse control increases, anxiety decreases, focus sharpens, creativity opens. Discipline rewires your brain towards success. The spiritual root, discipline is divine order. Across ancient traditions, to be disciplined was to be in alignment with the idea of God, ancestors, and purpose. Discipline is sacred because it honors your gifts, it protects your calling, it clarifies your spirit, it strengthens your intuition, it guards your energy, it elevates your vibration, it shows the idea of heaven. You're ready. A man without discipline can't hold blessings. A man with discipline multiplies blessings. The MMA principle, routine is your real training partner. A fighter becomes great through repetition, control, practice, predictability, neural memory, controlled breathing, centered awareness. The same applies to life. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about showing up consistently. Here is a mental martial arts discipline blueprint. The 3 pillars of masculine discipline. Pillar 1, morning alignment. Start your day with structure. Sit in silence for 2 to 5 minutes. Deep breathing. Speak your daily intention. Stretch or light movements. Drink water. Make your bed. Do one small productive task immediately. This tells your spirit, I am leading today. This tells your mind, we are focused. This tells your emotions, fall in line. Pillar 2, daily commandments. Set 3 non-negotiables for yourself every morning. Example, I will remain calm. I will complete my task. I will honor my boundaries. These become your internal law, not suggestions. Not if I feel like it, but commandments. Pillar 3, the night audit. This is discipline's secret weapon. Every night ask, did I move with purpose? Where did I lose focus? What did I handle well? What needs correcting? Did I honor my values? Did I manage my energy? If yes, great, keep it up. If not, great, keep it moving. Then forgive yourself, reset, and commit again. Accountability without shame is maturity. The street level truth about discipline. Without discipline, you waste time, you waste energy, you lose respect, you lose opportunities, and you repeat patterns. You stay almost great. You stay one decision from disaster. With discipline, women trust you, men respect you, children follow you, money obeys you, your spirit calms, your mind sharpens, your vision expands, your purpose becomes obvious. Discipline gives you a life you're not afraid to look at. Discipline protects you from yourself. A man who lives without discipline becomes reactive, impulsive, emotionally unstable, financially irresponsible, spiritually dull, inconsistent in love, untrustworthy, directionless. But a disciplined man becomes predictable in the best way, reliable, focused, intentional, self-controlled, emotionally mature, spiritually grounded, trustworthy. This is masculine stability. The king's discipline vow. Speak this aloud. I do not negotiate with my purpose. I do not bargain with my destiny. I do not delay my calling. I discipline my mind. I discipline my emotions. I discipline my habits because my freedom depends on my structure. The spiritual reward of discipline. A disciplined man gains clarity, confidence, consistency, power, presence, peace, partnership, stability, financial increase, spiritual insight, ancestral support. Why? Because creation responds to order. A man in order commands his life. Chapter 15. Spiritual grounding and sexual energy. The truth: a man who masters his spirit and his sexual energy masters his life. Your sexual energy is not just desire, it's life force. It fuels creativity, focus, drive, discipline, emotional balance, spiritual clarity, resilience, identity, confidence. But most men were taught to release their energy, not direct it. The world trains you to be a consumer of pleasure, not a commander of power. This chapter shifts you from instinct to intuition, from reaction to regulation, from impulse to influence. The psychology. Sexual energy is neurological fuel. Sexual energy affects dopamine, motivation, oxytocin, emotional connection, testosterone, drive and strength, serotonin, mood and stability, cortisol, stress. When mismanaged, this energy becomes distraction, addiction, emotional instability, self-sabotage, impulsive choices, low focus, inconsistent discipline. When mastered, this energy becomes creativity, ambition, clarity, emotional maturity, controlled masculinity, spiritual sensitivity, strong boundaries. Your brain runs on the fuel of your choices. The spiritual law. Sexual energy is sacred power. Every ancient African tradition taught this truth. A man's sexual energy is a gateway to his spiritual authority. When it's scattered, the spirit becomes dull. When it's misused, the mind becomes foggy. When it's misdirected, the heart becomes unstable. But when a man aligns his spiritual energy, his intuition sharpens, his purpose becomes clear, his emotions stabilize, his spirit strengthens, his self-respect deepens. Sexual discipline is spiritual clarity. The street truth. Most men spill energy they should be using to build. Let's be for real. For many men, sex becomes an escape, ego boost, boredom relief, stress relief, avoidance, emotional and anesthesia, validation seeking, control, routine release. Not connection, not purpose, not intention, not spiritual alignment. Sex becomes a coping mechanism, not a conscious act. But here's the truth. The streets rarely say a man who cannot control his sexual energy cannot control his life. Because if your sexual urges run you, your discipline is rented, not owned. The biology of male energy. Science is clear. Sexual release drops dopamine temporarily. Testosterone dips for a short window. Clarity can be affected depending on timing and mental state. Emotional bonding hormones surge during intimacy. Prostate health improves with regular release, not suppression. So the goal is not to release. The goal is conscious release. Intentional, not impulsive. Spirit-led, not wounded-driven. Aligned, not addictive. A king doesn't waste energy, he channels it. The breath of the king, the real origin of control. Breath is the first place where sexual energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, nervous system regulation all intersect. A man who breathes well controls his reactions, his urges, his anger, his fears, his sexual impulse, his emotional waves. Breath is the remote control for your body. This is why every warrior tradition taught breath work first. If you can't master your breath, you can't master your body. And if you can't master your body, your spirit stays unfocused. Spiritual groundedness, the masculine root. Being spiritually grounded means you know who you are. You know why you are. You know what you stand for. You can't be manipulated. You stay calm under pressure. You listen to intuition. You stay aligned with destiny. You walk with clarity. You move with purpose. A spiritually grounded man has a calm aura, a steady voice, a powerful presence, a disciplined life, a sharp intuition, a peaceful confidence. Women feel it. Men respect it. Children trust it. Opportunities respond to it. Your spirit is the throne your emotions sit on. When the throne is stable, the kingdom is at peace. The MMA connection. The body is the temple of discipline. In mental martial arts, sexual energy and spiritual grounding are treated as combat resources. 3 rules. Number 1, protect your energy from unnecessary drain. Not every connection is meant for access. Number 2, direct your energy toward purpose before pleasure. Build before you indulge. Number 3, be honest about why you want what you want. Is it loneliness, lust, stress relief, ego, trauma, boredom, genuine desire, spiritual intimacy? Honesty is how you master yourself. The spiritual enemy of man, unregulated desire. The biggest threat to a man is not another man, it's uncontrolled desire. Desire without discipline destroys marriages, finances, focus, sanity, purpose, opportunities, reputation, self-worth. Desire with discipline builds legacy, leadership, respect, stability, peace, trust, clarity, longevity. This is why ancient men trained desire like a warrior trains a blade. Unsharpened desire cuts the wrong thing. Sharpened desire cuts the path forward. Sexual energy as creative power. Your sexual energy is the same energy used to write, build, design, plan, solve problems, create businesses, innovate, lead, think deeply. Creative energy and sexual energy are one river. If you waste it, your creativity dries up. If you steward it, your creativity explodes. Some of your best ideas will come when your energy is aligned. Conscious release versus compulsive release. The difference. Compulsive release, draining, avoiding, unfocused, emotionally numbing, spiritually dulling, impulsive, addictive behavior cycles. Conscious release, connected, mutual, intentional, emotionally grounding, spiritually aligned, deeply restorative, bonding. A conscious man is not restricting himself, he's respecting himself. The king's practice for energy control. Number 1, breath control techniques. 4-4-4 breathing, box breathing, deep abdominal breathing, regulates urges instantly. Number 2, cold showers, shifts the nervous system out of impulse into discipline. Number 3, intentional abstinence, short cycles, not to hold seed for ego, but to reset mental clarity. Number 4, creative transmutation, channel desire into writing, business, art, exercise, planning, prayer, meditation. Number 5, sacred sex only. Whatever sacred means for you. Emotionally safe, spiritually aligned, energetically healthy, honest, intentional, mutual, connected. Sex is not casual to the soul. The Empress connection. Here's the secret. Women can feel the difference between a man driven by desire and a man directed by purpose. One feels unsafe, the other feels divine. A man who controls his energy communicates clearer, listens deeper, moves slower, loves better, leads stronger, connects spiritually, protects emotionally. His presence becomes peace, not pressure. The final truth, energy is currency. Every day you wake up with a limited amount of focus, time, emotion, creativity, stamina, discipline, sexual energy. Spend it wisely. When you master your sexual energy, you master your life force. When you master your life force, you master purpose. When you master purpose, you master destiny. A man aligned with God, the universal creative force in nature, guided by spirit, strengthened by discipline, and in control of his energy is unstoppable. Chapter 16. Legacy over likes. The truth, likes are temporary, legacy is eternal. Our generation live in a world where clout is currency, attention is addiction, validation is oxygen, applause is proof, comparison is habit, performance is identity, social media is the scorecard. But you were not designed to live for screens. You were designed to live for impact. Likes disappear, legacy remains. Likes are borrowed, legacy is built. Likes are loud, legacy is quiet and consistent. When a man chooses legacy over likes, it's choosing purpose over approval, discipline over ego, generational wealth over temporary validation, wisdom over noise, kingdom over chaos. Legacy is masculine matured. The ancestral calling of black man. African and indigenous traditions all taught the same truth. A man is responsible for three realms: himself, his household, his lineage. Your ancestors expect you to heal what was broken, restore what was stolen, elevate what was suppressed, protect what was sacred, prepare the way for future generations. You are the bridge between the ancestors behind you and the descendants ahead of you. Legacy is not optional, it's your assignment. The psychology of legacy. Research shows men who operate with a legacy mindset have lower stress, higher purpose, stronger relationships, better emotional control, increased longevity, more financial responsibility, deeper spiritual grounding. Why? Because when a man thinks beyond himself, his ego shrinks and his wisdom expands. Legacy breaks survival mode. The MMA principle. Your life is a dojo. Think of your everyday life as a training ground. Everything you do is a teaching someone. Your son, your daughter, your nephew, your community, the young man watching you from a distance. You are always modeling something. When you lose control, you teach chaos. When you manage emotions, you teach regulation. When you avoid conflict, you teach fear. When you communicate clearly, you teach maturity. When you love with honor, you teach security. When you discipline yourself, you teach power. When you stay consistent, you teach leadership. Legacy is not what you leave. Legacy is what you teach while you're here. The King's 4 pillars of legacy. Number 1, legacy of character. Your morals, your integrity, your consistency, your emotional discipline, your spiritual grounding. Kids don't remember what you bought them. They remember who you were around them. Number 2, legacy of wisdom. You must teach how to think, how to regulate emotions, how to lead themselves, how to choose partners, how to speak with truth, how to honor yourselves. Wisdom produces generational wealth of the heart. Number 3, legacy of protection, MMA. Not just physical, emotional and spiritual. A man becomes a shield by being present, being stable, being emotionally predictable, being trustworthy, being honorable. Your presence is a fortress. Number 4, legacy of provision. Provision is not just money. It includes vision, structure, mentorship, spiritual covering, guidance, direction. Money runs out. Vision multiplies. The street truth, men who chase validation never build anything real. There are always 2 types of men. Men who chase attention and men who build legacy. The man who chases attention wastes energy, loses time, repeats cycles, avoids responsibility, attracts low-quality environments, confuses ego for purpose, stays in emotional adolescence. The man who builds legacy moves in silence, works consistently, protects his name, guards his energy, loves intentionally, elevates his family, breaks generational curses, prepares the next generation. Likes fade, legacy strengthen. Fatherhood and mentorship, your most important roles. Whether you have biological children or not, you are always fathering something. A boy watching you, a nephew looking up to you, a young man you influence, your inner child, your community. Fatherhood is not biology, it's behavior. Mentorship is not formality, it's presence. A man who mentors well contributes to lower community violence, better emotional development in boys, stronger families, higher academic outcomes, healthier relationship models. You're not just raising children, you're raising a nation. The spiritual truth. Heaven doesn't reward performance, it rewards purpose. You don't get remembered for how many followers you had, how popular you were, how many women you wanted or they wanted you, how many people applauded your post. You get remembered for the wisdom you left, the protection you provided, the love you gave, the discipline you modeled, the values you embodied, the generational healing you begun. Legacy is the language of eternity. How to begin building your legacy? Start today. Establish your code of honor. What do you stand for? Write it. Live it. Number 2, repair what needs repairing. A man who apologizes becomes a giant in his child's eye. Number 3, start a weekly ritual. Every 20 minutes with a child or young man, build memory. Number 4, document something. A message, journal, video, or letter. Your great-grandchildren will treasure it. Number 5, teach one lesson a month. Money, mental health, relationships, respect, spirituality. Number 6, protect your name. Your reputation is part of your inheritance. Number 7, build something that outlives you. A book, a business, a tradition, a principle, a song. The final word. Legacy is the final form of respect. A black man who chooses legacy over likes becomes a king, a stabilizer, a pathmaker, a protector, a teacher, a healer, a foundation, a generational warrior. Your ancestors didn't survive for you to live for applause. They survived so you could build what they never had access to. Legacy is not about you being remembered. Legacy is about your people being restored. Chapter 17. The final word. The call to kingship. The truth. You were never meant to be a statistic. You were built to be a standard. You were born into a world that lied to you. A world that mistook your strength for danger. A world that framed your intelligence as arrogance. A world that expected your failure and feared your excellence. A world that taught you to armor up instead of open up. But despite every system engineered to break you, you're still here. You're still breathing. You're still thinking, still fighting, still building, still evolving, still becoming. This book wasn't about surviving the world. It's about remembering you were always meant to stand above it. Not because you're perfect, not because you don't fall, not because you don't bleed, but because the king in you refuses to stay asleep. This final chapter is your awakening. The ancestral anointing. You are the prayer of those who came before you. You are your grandfather's unfinished brilliance. You are your grandmother's unspoken dream. You are the strength your father didn't know how to show. You are the peace your mother never got to rest inside. You are the healing your bloodline has begged heaven for. Your predecessors, aka ancestors, walked through fire so you could stand in freedom. Your blood carries warriors, scholars, prophets, inventors, kings, healers, architects, freed men, visionaries. When you heal, they rise. When you elevate, they stand. When you choose dignity, they lean closer. When you walk in respect, they nod in approval. You are not alone in your becoming. 8,000 ancestors breathe inside you. The psychology of kings, identity, is greater than instinct. A man becomes a king the moment he understands my identity is stronger than my impulse. You learned in these pages how triggers shape behavior, how the nervous system controls emotion, how trauma forms patterns, how discipline rewires the brain, how structure builds stability, how emotional intelligence builds healthy relationships, how truth creates clarity, how presence builds trust. This knowledge is not theory, it is training. You're not just reading a book, you're entered a dojo. You're not just studying ideas, you're studying yourself. And the man who studies himself becomes unstoppable. The streetwise warrior code. A king protects his peace. A king is not defined by how loud he is, how many women he has, how dangerous he seems, how quickly he reacts, how hard he looks. A king is defined by his calm discipline, his emotional control, his truth, his follow-through, his stability, his consistency, his moral compass, his ability to protect peace. Most men fight the world. A king fights his old self and wins. Most men chase validation. A king chases purpose. Most men move for attention. A king moves for alignment. Most men survive. A king leads. The spiritual commandments of a king. These are not suggestions. These are principles. Protect your mind. Every battle starts in thought. Number 2, honor your emotions. Your emotions are messengers, not weaknesses. Number 3, guard your energy. Everyone cannot have access to your spirit. Number 4, choose truth over image. Image disappears. Integrity stays. Number 5, lead with presence, not pressure. Calm is your first form of leadership. Number 6, love with discipline, not desperation. Desperation creates bondage. Discipline creates stability. Number 7, build something that outlives you. Legacy is the final form of masculinity. Number 8, honor the black woman. You cannot rise without elevating her. Number 9, heal what you inherit, so your children inherit something better. Number 10, walk with God, universal consciousness, ancestors, and purpose. This is your spiritual army. The reality check: you can fall and still be king. Kings are not flawless. Kings are faithful. You will have dark days, make mistakes, feel overwhelmed, question your progress, lose focus, relapse into old habits, break down, need help, get tired, want to quit. This doesn't mean dethrone you. It develops you. Great men aren't great because they never fail. They're great because they decide who they are after they fall. Every time you rise, you recrown yourself. The call to lead your lineage. Your life is no longer just your life. You now carry the healing of your bloodline, the restoration of your name, the safety of your household, the emotional blueprint for sons, the relational blueprint for daughters, the wisdom your fathers lacked, the softness your mothers needed, the strength your ancestors died for, the promise your children will depend on. This is kingship, not dominance, but responsibility, not control, but clarity, not ego, but service, not fear, but faith. You are not just a man, you're a foundation. The final blessing, the king's affirmation. Speak this aloud and let it echo. I rise with dignity. I walk in respect. I lead with discipline. I protect my peace. I honor my ancestors. I heal my wounds. I elevate my household. I build my legacy. I love with clarity. I stand with purpose. I embody manhood with truth. I am a king by responsibility, not by image. And I will live in a way that my sons rise stronger and my daughters feel safer because of who I chose to be in this moment. The closing invitation. If this book rebuilt your understanding on masculinity, you are ready for the next level. Your next level is what happened between us. The bridge between black men and black women. The healing of the black relational dynamic. The answer to the disconnect. The repair manual. The understanding we all needed but never received. You've done the individual work here. Now it's time to heal the connection between us. Thank you for listening.